Hello, everyone. Welcome once again. Alan Shisco here, motion graphics artist. I presume that you've already clicked on the link in my blog post that takes you to show you what it is that we're going to be working on today. It's kind of a fun little technique that you can use to create a tree in After Effects. Why not, eh? So, well, let's get right to it. Anyway, you've taken a look at the QuickTime that shows you the result, and now let's take a look at how it was done. All right, we'll go over to After Effects. So, what you got to start off with, or what I started off with in this case, was a branch of a tree, kind of a fall tree. It looks kind of yellowy. Now, the first thing that you have to do, I'm not going to show you this because you know how to do it, is you want to go into Photoshop and you want to cut it out so that it's just the leaves and the branches here. Okay. If I turn on the grid background here, you can see it's all nicely cut out and everything. Just so, you can zoom in a little bit and you can see it's, well, like I say, it's cut out. First thing that you want to do here is I created a composition. It doesn't have to be 3D right now, but I've already created it. It's a composition. The leaf layer itself is 3D. I've just created a simple camera. There's no animation or anything on that. Just getting everything all set up here. So, first thing you do is you go into your leaf, your branches here, and what you have to do is identify what it is that you want to stick out at different angles. Now, the way that you're going to sell this is that you're going to have this branch, but if I were to orbit around it here, you can see. All right. Well, yeah, it's flat. Okay, just like After Effects flat, piece of paper flat. Now we're not going to be able to get around that limitation. Okay, not in this technique. You're not going to be able to take a leaf and warp it so that it bends, so that it looks like a leaf. What we're going to do instead is we're going to get a whole bunch of these leaves and branches and such, and we're going to have them sticking out at different angles, so that when you move around here, it's not just going to be one single flat thing sticking out. You're going to have branches and leaves going out at odd angles, just like it's going to look like in real life. We're getting really close to a perfect tree in After Effects, but yes, when you go around it, the limitation is you're still going to see the side of the objects as pieces of paper. But anyway, it sells itself pretty well. We'll just keep on chugging away here, and you'll see what I'm talking about. So, first thing that you want to do is you want to identify whichever leaves you're going to distort, warp, well, I guess rotate is probably the proper description for this. So I'm just going to go through this pretty quickly. I'm going to zoom in, and what you want to do is you want to go to your masking tool, which is, yeah, we'll use the pen right up here. I guess you could do Roto Bezier if you want, but yeah, why not? Let's turn on Roto Bezier just for kicks. All right, so the first one I'm going to do is this leaf right here down in the corner, okay? What you want to do when you mask it out is you want to get as close, try and get this branch here just sort of looking normal, okay? And what that means is I'll click here, and, oh, that's yellow. You probably won't be able to see that. That's a bit of a, all right, there you can see it there now. And I want to go just alongside the leaf there. Now, everything else is cut out. This is all transparent, so now I can just kind of quickly and roughly go way over here, go around, click, click, and close it up, okay? So when I zoom out here, we now have that one leaf cut out, okay? So what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to change that, oh, I hit the M key, by the way, with the layer selected. Hit the letter M, and that brings up your mask parameter. I'm just going to change this to none right now. And what I'm going to do is quickly go through making a whole bunch more cutting out some leaves here. I'm just going to do a couple more, and then we'll proceed with how you do it. Here, let's do this one right here. Okay. And just go along there. Cut that out. You can do this pretty quick. Click, 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 click. And there we go. Again, I'm going to hit the letter M, and I'm going to change that to none. And then we'll go up and let's go to this one right here. All right, and you can see that it's a pretty fast little procedure once you get going here. The important thing is that you want to have a good cutout in Photoshop with which to start. All right, there's another one. M for mask. Whoops, I hit the space bar instead. That's not what I was aiming for. None. Okay, and let's do one more up here. All right, there we go. So there. And this will be a nice one. Oh, right down here. Get up nice and close to that leaf, just so. And All right, there we go. I'm just going to maximize this window here now. If you don't know about how to maximize windows in After Effects, any window that you happen to be over, if you hit the tilde key, which to understand you actually don't have a tilde key if you're in Europe. Maybe I'm wrong there, I don't know. The tilde key, which is in the top left of your keyboard, it'll maximize just that window. It's pretty handy. What I'm going to do here, just for fun, is I'm going to change the mask colors of some of each of the masks, just so that it's a little easier to pick out. We'll make that one blue, and we'll make that one green. Why not? All right, there we go. So I'm going to zoom out now with my comma key. Oh yeah, we didn't set that one to none, did we? Okay, so there we go. Now the next thing what we have to do here, I'm just going to close the, actually, you know what, I'm going to keep that open for a second. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to duplicate this layer once, okay? We've got 4 leaves. What we're going to do is we're going to isolate just these leaves, okay? So I'm going to duplicate this once, close that. I'm now going to, just to make things a little bit easier for me in the future, I'm going to hit the M key here. We're going to bring up all our masks, and I'm going to change all these masks to add. Okay. Now, if I were to turn off the solo, well, I guess they're soloed. I can just turn them off. If I turned off visibility of the bottom layer, you can see now we've got the inverted selection. We've got just the leaves. Okay. We've got 4 leaves. So what I'm going to do here is duplicate this 3 more times because we want to have 4 leaves in total, and this is going to be our first one. 1, 2, 3. I do that. You can either, how do you do it? Edit, duplicate, or something like that. And there's the keyboard shortcut. I only use the keyboard shortcut, Control D, or I guess it's Apple D in Macintoshes. And then I'm going to go down to the first one here, hit the M key. I'm going to get rid of all the layers except for the first one, the red one. Select them, delete. Okay, nice. And mask. I'm going to select not the red one. I'm going to delete that. We're going to keep the blue one. The next one is going to be the green one. I'll select all the other ones. The next one, the last one finally is going to be yellow, the bottom one. Delete that. Okay. Select all, turn up the twirly, and they all close. Now, when I turn this on, we've got, well, exactly what we started off with. Do a little rotate around. You can see we've got sort of a paper leaf, so to speak. So what now? Now what we have to do is the idea how we want to sell this thing is we want to have some of these leaves sticking out from the branch in weird angles, right? Because that's what leaves look like. They're not all in one single XY axis. They also go into the Z axis, right? So let's select the first one right here, and this is what makes it really, really easy at this point. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to change the anchor point of this. Let me just zoom in so you can see what the heck I'm talking about. We're going to change the anchor point to the very bottom of this leaf where we cut it out, right there, just like that, so that when we rotate this leaf, it's going to rotate about the anchor point, but it's going to visually stay attached to this branch right here, okay? Now, the important thing is you want to have sort of a general base of reference, okay? If I select the main one here, let's just solo that. This is the main branch that we're going to be attaching everything else to. If I hit the letter P, which brings up the position, you can see that it's, well, whatever, 902, 1264. This is the important one here, 0. This is your Z positioning, and it's pretty important when you're trying to figure out where the heck everything is that you have a stable point of reference, in this case, 0, okay? I'll show you what I'm talking about. I'm going to go up to my first leaf here, and we're going to turn let's just turn the visibility of those off, except for that one. Actually, you know what? Let's just do that one. Good. What I have to do is I want this anchor point here to not be where it is, like I was saying. I want it to be right over here. I'm going to grab that, and I'm going to move it over. But watch what happens. I hit the letter A to go to the anchor point. I'm going to go to the oddly named Pan Behind tool. To this day, I don't know why it's called a Pan Behind tool, but there you go. And of course, the shortcut for Pan Behind tool is Y. I don't know. Figure that one out. Now, if I grab onto it here, I'm going to click and I'm going to drag and I'm going to move it over. And, well, I was doing the wrong one there, wasn't I? Yeah, there we go. You click and drag and move over and, you know, okay, there we go. It's positioned right where we want it to be. Or is it? Look down here. Okay, our Z space positioning has changed. What I'm going to do here is go in a little orbit here, and you can see, yeah. It looks like it's lined up perfectly right there, but when we do a little orbit, you can see that it's actually moved behind our leaf, okay? Now, there's an easy way to do this. I'm just going to hit undo there. Right now, I'm in the custom view right here. I'm going to change this to the front view, like so. Now, what that is, I don't know the technical name for it. I think it's called an orthographic view or something like that. It doesn't take into account things like perspective and camera. All it does is it's looking like purely from the front. I don't know. 3D people will know what I'm talking about a little bit better. Now, when I select this here, you can see we've got our little angle doodad thingy, but it's not at a weird angle. The Z space, which is the blue one, is pointed right towards us. Now, if I go over here and I grab onto it and I shim it, oops, I didn't grab it there. There we go. And I move it and let go. Take a look down here. The anchor point X and Y changed, but the Z is exactly the same. Okay. Now when I do a little orbit, you'll see that, oops, I have to go back to my custom view for that. When I do an orbit, you can see, yes, perfectly. So now the anchor point is exactly at the bottom of this little leaf that we have. Okay, so let's do that for the next one here as well. We'll go to our front viewport. Where are we here? There we go. Hit the letter A, A to see our anchor point, and we'll go up to the pan behind tool, and we're going to drag that up there, zoom in a little bit, and we'll position that just so. You want to get it as closely as possible to the exact edge there as you can. Turn on the next one, just like that, and drag that up, zoom. The period key on your keyboard will zoom in, and if you hold the space bar, then it changes to the hand tool, and you can sort of drag it around. So there we go, and zoom out, turn on the last one here. Okay, A for anchor point, pan behind, oh, it's way down there. Grab onto that, move it up. Space bar to move the hand tool, and there we go, perfect. All right, so now I'm going to select all these and close them up. Turn everything on. There's our leaves right there, and when I'm going to turn on the final branch, voila. And again, we have exactly what we, I'm going to go over to my custom view. We have exactly what we started out. Well, what the heck am I talking about? How are we going to make a branch or if everything stays flat like that? Well, everything is now rigged up. This is where we're going to make it look more branch-like, okay? What I do is I select all of these here. I'm going to hit the letter R, which, as you might guess, brings up the rotation parameters. Okay. Now, watch what happens when I go down to the first one right here. Okay. I'm going to hit the letter R. It doesn't matter which one you grab onto. Just grab onto any of them. There, we'll rotate that a little bit. You can see that, and we'll rotate that back and forth. And let me just zoom in so we can see what's happening here. You can see that as I rotate, it's still attached to our little branch right there. Okay. So I don't know, just sort of play around with it a little bit and make it look like you want it to look. We'll get that one sticking out there a little bit more. We'll go up to our next one and give that a little bit of a random rotation. Just sort of move. Let's put this one behind like that. Go up to this one and we'll do a little bit of, let's kind of rotate like that, back and forth. We'll do that one behind as well. Have it pointing down a little bit. And finally the last one, and we'll rotate. We'll put that one in front because the other two we put behind. Okay, give that a little bit of a rotate like that. Now what we have, zoom back just a little bit, is when we do a camera orbit here, you can see, look at that. Now we have something that looks more branch-like, right? Yeah, now if you look closely, like down here, you can see that as we rotate, we still get right down here, you can see we're edge on to that one leaf that we rotated, but it's sold a lot better because we can still see all these other leaves, and not everything disappears at once, right? So presumably the eye, it's not really going to be drawn to something that disappears so much, right? You can see rotate around, we've got a little bit of depth there. Huh, pretty cool, eh? So there you go. There's our first little branch. Now at this point, well, I mean, you got to just make a decision on how many branches you want, right? This one is called leaf branch. If I wanted to make the same thing, it's all rigged up and everything here, right? All I have to do is go over to my project window. Where are we here? Leaf branch. There it is. Duplicate that. Double click it to open up. It's automatically called leaf branch 2. Select our 4 leaves, R, and just change the rotation, right? Oh, actually, we could just do it like that. Yeah, select them all and do a great big one. And give that a bit of a spin. The reason that you'd want to do this is you'd want all your leaves to be in a slightly different pattern. You know, if you have the same pattern for everything, then it might get sort of obvious about what you've done, right? Okay, so there we go. We'll just do 2 for the time being. Select all. Okay, now to show you how this all comes together here, I'm just going to create another composition. We'll call this temporary. Just like that. I'll just do NTSCD1, yada, 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 10, hit OK. All right, so I'm going to grab my two here, move them in here. First thing I'm going to do is make them 3D layers. The next thing I'm going to do is turn on collapse transformations. Yeah, pretty complicated to explain, but basically it's going to take all the 3D info from the pre-comps, which are these two right here. Which is to say, I mean, if we were to take this and give it a little spin around, it's just a flat piece of paper right now. But we know that our leaves are in 3D space. They're distributed. Rotate. Turn that on, collapse transformation. Ah, there we go. Now we've got everything. I'm just going to create a little camera here. Control, Alt, Shift, C. Just do the default in this case. Hit OK. Hit the position there, and I'm just going to pull back. Oh, we're in our custom view right now. I don't even need that camera. Hit the C key. We'll pull back a little ways, a little more. Where are we here? Okay, what I want to do is I want to get to the bottom of the branch. There it is right there. Okay, so we can see that. And now if we do a little bit of an orbit around this, you can see we're back into, there we go. We've got our branches and everything just like so. It's looking sort of tree-like, don't you think? So what I do here is I take this. I've got right now two identical branches, okay? But I want to do the same thing that we did way back in our main composition when I moved the anchor point. Okay, now guess, where do you think I'm going to move the anchor point for this one? Can you guess? All right, let's figure it out. Hit the letter A. Remember, what you want to do is you want to make sure we're using 0 as our baseline here. Okay, we're going to go into the front view, just like that. I'm going to use my camera tool here just to pull back a ways. There we go. Zoom in a little bit. A lot of zooming in and out, right? Go to my pan behind tool, and I'm going to click and drag. Where am I going to drag it to? Anybody know? Yeah, right down here. Okay. You always put your anchor point where you want the thing to join. Okay. And in this case, what I want to do is I'm going to take one of the branches that we've created, and I'm going to rotate it around the other one. Okay. They're perfectly lined up right now, but when I hit the R key for this one and give it a little bit of a spin, there we go. You see, it's still attached down here. Presumably, if you wanted to, you could get another branch and get it swinging down there. Give that a little bit of a spin like that. That's pretty good. Let's duplicate this. R. It's got the same anchor point and everything. We're good. Let's just reset this. 0, 0, 0. And I'm going to go the other way now. There we go. Spin that up here just like that. Beautiful. So now when we go to our camera here, our camera orbit tool, and move around, you can see that, let me just, right there. Oh yeah, of course. I was trying to do a camera pan around, but you can't do that in the front viewport because it's orthographic, which is to say that you can't pan around. It's front only. Let's change that to custom view. There we go. Rotate around. I'm just going to do it to half resolution here so we can do it a little bit quicker. Look at that. Now we have, well, I don't know, I'd say that it's a fairly convincing little tree there, don't you think? So at this point, well, I mean, that's it. That's the technique. What I'll do is I'll go to the completed project that I did, and I'll quickly walk through it just so that you can see all the other stuff that I did. I'm just going to close that. We'll close leaf branch. We'll go through mine, like here are the ones that I did. I also, in Photoshop, put some imagery on there. You could just as easily do that in After Effects as well, and some more branches there. I had a bunch of different branches that I created, and then I went into my composition. Where are we here? Branch is complete. There it is. Go to half resolution here, and let's see what we have. Okay, so at the very start, we have this. There's the branch right down there. Now what I did is I created a background up here that when take a look at the video clip on the blog post. You can see that this is like a far distant background, and as the camera moves in, it all moves in sync and all that kind of stuff. Well, let's just kind of click through it here. So we move in a little bit. Camera comes in, it's pretty slow. There we go. We're coming in like that. And I've got some text. Now remember, we're in 3D space with this, okay? So what I did in this case for this project is I wanted to create some text that was going to support the voiceover editorial, okay? Just the little things that whatever the voiceover was saying, I wanted to punch home what they were saying a little bit better. So I chose to put the text in 3D space, and you can see if you view the clip that it just moves really nicely as the camera swoops in there, right? And one thing I might mention here is, if I remember anyway, I'm going to put the expression that I used to make this text come on. It's kind of a nice one, and it was actually created by a colleague of mine that I have done work with in the past. Niels is his name. Thanks, Niels. Let's see here. So where are we? Okay, so there are the text layers right there. Okay. Here are all my branches and everything. Branch 5, a stick only because I did put just a stick down here and a bunch more branches. And I rotated them, well, just like I showed you. Okay. Now the camera itself that I've got down here, if you take a look at, what was it, the post that I did for PGO or something. It was about how to get a nice smooth orbiting camera. I did that in this case because if you look at the clip, the camera just orbits around this whole thing. And I believe that that is parented to null number 4. And if I hit the U key to bring up keyframes, you can see I've just got a great big Y rotation happening here. Where are we? There's the Y rotation that goes on right there, plus a little bit of a move just for kicks. So that's what I did there. And then null 2, well, we'll come to that one in a second about what I did with that. So I've modeled all the branches and got all those. There's all that. There's the couple images that I've got in the background there. And then as we get further on, same thing that I did with the other text. I've just got this kind of, they come in and they rotate with the camera, and oh, it all looks fine and dandy. And then we finally get to the nameplate at the end, and that kind of comes on using, what blur did I use? One of the blurs, anyway. It kind of shimmies on. Now, fine, dandy, looks good, right? Can it look better? You bet that it can. You got to have a little bit of a machine for what I'm going to show you next, okay? Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to enable depth of field. Let me just put this to full resolution here. It's going to take another second to render there. That's not bad. There we go. Turn off the safe zones there. That's good, but it's kind of confusing looking just because of all the too many leaves almost. You got a ton over there, right? But what I'm going to do here, I've got this little button clicked right here. This is Draft 3D. I've got this already set up, and what I did is I created some depth of field here. Watch the difference. I'm just going to take a snapshot here. Shift F8 to take a snapshot. I'm going to turn off the Draft 3D button, and we're going to go into full 3D here. Okay? And it's going to take a little longer to render. There we go. Now you can see what's going on here, right? I've got a very shallow depth of field in my composition, and what that means is that everything, there's just going to be sections of the tree that's in focus, and it looks very camera-like, including this text I might point out as well. Let's go up to the very beginning here. When the camera's further back, it all looks in focus, right? But as you get in tighter, then the camera to focus distance gets smaller, and as camera focus distance gets smaller, the depth of field compresses as well. Okay, so as it moves in, it's going to take a little longer to render. You can see the text is getting a little soft there, and that gets soft. The important thing, though, is that the leaves over here are getting soft. This looks this is a good example right here. You can see in the background, you can tell that this stuff is further away because it's soft, right? If I were to turn on the Draft 3D to get rid of the depth of field, there, it just looks visually a little more cluttered, right? Depth of field you really got to use to sell this kind of thing, in this case anyway. And then as it rotates around, sell it a little bit more with all the text. Some of the text, when it's forward, gets blurred. Some of it fades off into blurriness and everything. And finally we come around to the end, and you can see in the clip that this one little leaf gets highlighted as it comes along, and everything else in the background gets nice and soft, just like that, right? That's a real good way to draw the eye. And the way that I did this is, After Effects, if we take a look at the camera here, I'll just do here. You got this thing here called focus distance, okay? That's where you determine what's going to be in focus, but it's not really usable in its present form because it gives you have to determine the focus distance in terms of pixels. So, I don't know, well, you look at this, you select everything, you tell me what the distance between the camera and that leaf is. You know, I don't know. You have to guess, okay? What I did is, thanks to some folks from the After Effects list, we figured it out. I think it was Harry Frank that gave me this one, actually. A way to tie the, let me see here, UU, the focus distance to, in this case, a null, okay? And the null in this case is, if I turn on my source names, is this little null that I called focus control. There you go. You can see it up in the composition right there. And all I did when I was going around is I decided what it was that I needed to have in focus at any given time. If I hit the U key, we'll see there are a bunch of keyframes here. And I just keyframed this focus control, which is an object in 3D space, kind of shimmied it around until whatever I wanted came into focus. Okay. What I'll do is I'll just go to half resolution here so it'll be a little bit faster. If I take my focus control and grab onto the Z space, give it a shimmy, watch what happens here. Okay, you saw the focus sort of shift back. It's no longer in the front there. That's after. That's before. You can see it's gone. I'll move it a little bit further back just so we can get a really extreme focus pull. There you go. Now our front is not focused, but you saw that the focus racked to the back of the leaves there. Okay, so it just makes it a little bit handier when it's attached via an expression, so that you just have to move an object around, and you can visually and interactively shimmy it to get in focus whatever it is that you want. I'll put this expression on the blog as well, just so that you can play around with that, and that'll make your life a little bit easier. So there we go. That is how to create a tree in After Effects. A little bit of a long one for this one, but I hope it was interesting and informative for some folks out there. I guess you're not limited to trees. You could do this with all sorts of stuff. The important thing, of course, is the anchor point, where you put it, preparing your objects beforehand, and just visualizing where the heck you are in 3D space. So I hope that was good for some folks out there. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. My name is Alan Shishko again, and you can go to my see my demo reel, all sorts of stuff at my website, which is effector.ca. All right, have a good day, everyone.